It is free agent frenzy. So here we go. Dalton Schultz is staying with the Texans. He extends 3 years, $36 million deal. Good for him. That's he's a top half tight end of the league. So and for fantasy, he's a little bit better than that too. So good on them. So the Colts placed a franchise tag on Michael Pittman, but then they came to agree on a 3 year, $71.5 million deal. So that'll help Anthony Richardson a lot too, their quarterback. Having that guy who's a top guy. All right. Zach Ertz goes to Washington. I didn't bother getting the details because that's a nothing. That's a nothing deal to me. Good for him. The 49ers signed Colton McKivitz to a 1 year, $7 million deal. That tells me that they liked what he provided, but also that he needs to get better because this is basically a prove it deal. They are willing to draft his replacement. And he did good enough, but they can get better. He better get better. Otherwise, he's going to be out the door next year.
I would argue
that tells to me.
That's one of, if I'm going to say, that's one of the weaknesses of the 49ers is that their O-line could always be better. And so
yeah, totally.
Putting this prove it contract and having them play a step above, good deal. I love it.
Yeah. All right. Denver traded Jerry Jeudy to Cleveland for 5th and 6th round picks. Yeah, that's fine.
You know what? With Denver, this is Sean Payton's like first year. Last year was kind of like, all right, I'm going to inherit this team. But remember when he took over the Saints, he gutted that team year one. I want to say like 3 Saints stayed.
He and Drew Brees was one of them.
He like overhauled that team. So this is technically year one.
Yep.
Yeah.
I agree.
So that's what's happening here. The Chiefs are going to keep Chris Jones 5 years, $95
I'm really
million. That is a huge contract.
You know why I'm glad?
Why are you glad?
I think he's a great player, but he's on the wrong side of 30, and I was fearful the Raiders were going to give him that money. And I know we'll get to it. I just did not think giving that money to a 30-plus-year-old player as a free agent.
It rarely works out.
The Raiders are more than a defensive tackle or defensive end away.
That means their safety is gone. That's what that means.
Right. Yeah. So New England is trading Mac Jones to Jacksonville for a 6th round pick. That 2021 draft class that was supposed to be all world is starting to look real bad, isn't it?
It's like a more third world at this point.
Yeah. Yeah. Instead of all world. That's a good call. That's a good shirt, bud. Tampa Bay and Baker Mayfield agreed to a 3-year,
little sad about
deal.
that. I was on the Baker train coming to the Las Vegas Raiders.
I would argue
quarterback.
We're gonna get into it, but I would argue that the guy you got, maybe not a talent.
You did say that. I do remember that.
Yeah, maybe not a talent level as Baker Mayfield, but I'd still like what you got.
Yeah, swagger is a little bit better, I think.
Yeah.
I think Baker Mayfield kind of overperformed a little bit, and they're paying for the ceiling for him. So
I definitely would not have paid $3,100 for Baker.
That's a contract
a
of
little too rich for my blood.
Yeah, that's a contract that's not a thank you for what you're doing for me now. It's a thank you for what you did kind of contract. So that's what that looks like.
Yeah. So Kendrick Bourne is going to stay in New England for a 3-year, $33 million. Cool. Right on. That's a
good for you, Kendrick.
Yeah, get your money. All right, so here's a couple of 49ers notes. They are going to release Eric Armstead. I said that I didn't think that they were going to do it. I thought they were going to restructure. The team definitely wanted to restructure, but he didn't. So he's going to test the free agent market. I'm sure he'd be, if he doesn't like what he sees out there, the Niners would welcome him home at their price, which is kind of how these things operate.
Do you, as a fan, regret that the team paid Armstead instead of paying Buckner?
No, because basically at the time you had 2 choices. You could either keep Armstead, so when they traded Buckner, they got a 1st round pick back for him. So it was either you keep Buckner and a 4th rounder, or you have Eric Armstead and a 1st rounder. So that was
what has the first round turned into anything yet?
No, it didn't. But like
at the time, who was that first rounder?
At the time, that was the logic. At the time, I'm telling you my logic at the time. And DeForest Buckner's played fine, but I think Eric Armstead has way outperformed him. So,
well, I mean, I would argue too that you're looking at it. Yeah, I disagree. I think you're looking at a talent pool. I mean, the Colts talent level compared to what the 49ers have had.
Right,
I would argue that Eric Armstead definitely didn't achieve what.
No, he could have. I'm not saying he reached his peak or anything like that. I'm just saying I think Eric Armstead overall played better than DeForest Buckner. So,
me and Sam will agree to disagree.
Moving on. All right, so the Niners also have approached Kyle Juszczyk about a salary reduction. No word yet on what's happening there. We'll see. Obviously, I want Kyle Juszczyk to stay forever. He's the best fullback in football, and he does the job at a position that most teams don't have anymore.
So, I literally cannot name another fullback. Like I know halfbacks that have been turned into fullbacks or they transition, but I don't know any true fullbacks. I can't name one.
All right. Here we go. Big news. Russell Wilson going to the Steelers. Oh man. Steelers country. Let's weld.
Let's weld.
Oh, dude, when I saw it on my phone that he's going to the Steelers, I was like, whew, because I was another Raider that I was like, please no.
Not that.
And it's not that, you know what? It's not that he's like bad. Like he actually had a decent year. When you look at it, he actually numbers wise, he had a decent year.
The stats say he played better.
It's the
not who I want in my quarterback.
It's the off the field distraction.
I just don't
want
fucking
goober.
I don't need
a weirdo.
If I was a Raiders fan, I'm like, I already got Devontae Adams, and he's not a diva compared to some wide receivers, but he's diva enough. I don't need this quarterback who is ultimate diva. I don't need this.
Yeah. All right. So moving on. Cincinnati wide receiver T. Higgins has requested a trade.
Did they franchise tag him earlier? Is that what happened? I think.
I don't
know.
No.
What's the other one?
No. It was who is it? Jamar Chase is the other wide receiver that they have. The other number one wide receiver.
Hey, look, if T. Higgins wants to do a trade, you know what? So all power to him.
T. Higgins, I want out too. Because you got an owner that notoriously doesn't want to pay. Joe Burrow got paid. That's like one of the guys out of like 50 years that this owner has owned the team.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
This one
DeAndre
hurts.
Swift. He's moving on to Chicago. He's going to actually have a chance to score some touchdowns now that the tush push is not a thing for him anymore.
Right.
So
Chicago has a good backfield. I mean, with Foreman and him.
Yeah. I question some of their offensive quarterback. We'll just say quarterback. Yeah. If he's going to be their quarterback.
Yeah. We'll see. Tony Pollard going to Tennessee. So Derrick Henry's officially not coming back for anybody who had any delusions about that happening. He's moved on.
That opens the door to a question that I'm very curious about, is that it has come out that Derrick Henry has bought a house in Texas. I can't confirm where, but the talks is that Houston and Dallas, he's going to land somewhere in Texas, and I'm very curious. Now,
if I think Houston, I'm going to Houston.
I think so too.
Absolutely.
Dallas has opened up that door now that Pollard's not there anymore. So interesting.
Pollard. So Gabe Davis, wide receiver, is going to Jacksonville on a 3-year deal. I didn't see the number when I typed this in. I do not like this move. I think Gabe Davis is overrated. Let somebody else draft it. Like for your fantasy drafts, you guys can have Adam. I don't want him. Yeah, he's capable of like a 40-point game or whatever, but just the fantasy thing. But he's gonna have 3 of those games and he'll have 140 total points. So and 3 of them are, and most of it is going to be in 3 games, and he's just garbage. The rest of it, I'm cool. Let somebody else make that mistake.
Yeah, I think he's just going to fall into the fold of the rest of these. I mean, Calvin Ridley should have had a breakout year, and he really kind of didn't. So your number one's still going to be Ridley. You got Kirk. You got
Ridley's a free agent right now. He's looking for a home, so we'll see. I think he's moving on. All right, tight end Colby Parkinson.
Time.
Guys, I got to call a timeout. The Warriors have just exploded. Trace Jackson Davis is going off, catching alley-oops, dunking. The Warriors are now up 84-72. The San Antonio Spurs 0 points in 4.5 minutes.
I had a feeling this was going to happen, man. I feel like the Warriors are really good at rebounding, man. They
yeah,
take
and then you got Chris Paul out there just throwing those lobs to him.
28-4 run in the past 6.5.
Oh, I will say,
Trace,
if you watch the last game against the Spurs when they lost, Trace Jackson Davis, I loved his demeanor. He looked absolutely
he's a dog.
dejected and devastated that they lost that game. Like he thought they should have won that game. Yeah. I love that energy. Keep it up, big boy.
Okay. All right. So here we go. Back to football. Colby Parkinson, tight end. He was in Seattle. He's now with the Rams, 3 years, $22.5 million. Goodbye, Tyler Higbee. Here we go. This one's gonna suck. Josh Jacobs is going to Green Bay. We didn't see I didn't see any of the contract details. Did you?
I did not. But I think I'm gonna answer this for Sam first. I think Josh Jacobs was ready to sign to come back to the Raiders, and then DeAndre Swift signed that $24 million 3-year contract. And I think Josh Jacobs was like, you know what? I'm gonna test free agency, and he's gone and he went to Green Bay. I think that Swift news breaking first broke the straw on the camel's back for Josh Jacobs. Come back to the Raiders.
The Green Bay Packers notified Aaron Jones that he's not coming back. Yep. So now he's going to be available. Cut. I do believe this is going to be seeing Josh Jacobs go hurts. And I think it's going to be a regret because running back by committee, if that's the route the Raiders go, if the Raiders go running back by committee, mistake, because it never works. It never works. It's really tough to see Josh Jacobs go. He's been the bell cow for many years. I think last year was a down year due to some injuries, but also
terrible coaching.
I just think the offensive system and offensive line did not complement his running style. I felt like moving forward, I think he would have. There's still upside to his career.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be a regret unless you can put, say the Raiders go out and get another big name running back. I don't know if Zamir White is the guy. He's flashed, but I don't know if he's the man.
Yep. I agree.
I think it's going to be a deal that's going to be very regretful for the Raiders front office.
Okay. I like this next one here. I like this. All right,
Kirk Cousins to Atlanta, 4 years, $180 million.
You like that?
Yeah, you like that? If you're like a fantasy football player, I think you like that for
it brings relevancy back to the Falcons.
Atlanta all of a sudden, because they made some other deals too, and Atlanta has talent.
Atlanta got a good defense.
That's a 7-win team last year, so 7-10.
They got a good defense, and now you add a quarterback who can make all the throws, guys.
And it's a winnable division,
dude.
Mm-hmm. Very winnable division.
NFC South is not like that impressive. Like
Atlanta was leading last year. I mean, that's how weak that division was at 7 wins.
Atlanta looks legit all of a sudden.
Yeah, I love that.
All right, you know what else you love? Saquon Barkley to Philly, 3 years, $37.75 million.
I'll be quick. Okay, I'll be quick. Okay. I didn't until about 4:00 this afternoon decided. I read some comments on the Eagles page and somebody said, you know what? I'm loving life because I'm looking at the Giants page. I immediately went over there. Okay. I was like, you know what? I didn't even check. I'm gonna go look at the New York Giants Reddit page. They, on their number one topic of debate on their page, is a picture. Okay. Do you guys remember the British soldier who was a traitor? The
Benedict Arnold.
Thank you. They have a Wikipedia post picture of Benedict Arnold.
That's the history guy.
And they put Saquon Barkley's head on Benedict Arnold's face and calling him a traitor. I went through the whole thread. I just had a great afternoon, just laughing my ass off. And Tiki Barber has now come out and said that Saquon Barkley is dead to me. As to which, when I have the tweet here, Saquon Barkley has responded to Tiki Barber and says, at Tiki Barber, you have been a hater since I got to New York. And all the dead to me talk, don't smile on my face when you see me. I love this kid already. Welcome to Philadelphia.
Great signing.
That's Philly energy.
That was kind of the problem. That was one of the problems with Philly, I thought, was they didn't. Again, the committee doesn't work. You know, it's nice to have a change of pace back, But having 3 guys share the ball and no legit number one doesn't really work. You got a guy who can catch the ball, run the ball, is a dog. I think he's going to fit like a glove. You got new
for at least 2 of those
offensive
years.
coordinator. I think he's going to be a dog. Great signing.
Just got to stay
until
healthy.
the running back cliff falls. But like,
sure.
Yeah. But those first couple.
But if Philadelphia wins one of the next 2-3 years,
it's worth it. Worth every penny. Right.
Yep.
So Antonio Gibson going to New England, 3 years, $11.25 million.
Good for you.
Good for you, bud. Way to stay in the league. All right, here you go,
I
Sam.
love
Your
this
turn.
one.
Christian
love
Wilkins
this.
to Vegas, 4 years,
This is the man who I wanted. This is the man. He's still fairly young, a lot of mileage. He got like 9 sacks this past season, but he's the man that is going to make he's going to what's the cliche, the straw that stirs the
drink. Yep.
Is the Raiders have Max Crosby, Malcolm Kuntz showed up. There's been some pieces on defense, but you know what? That quarterback, there's been so many times that the defensive ends for the Raiders have gotten penetration and the quarterback just steps up because there's been no presence up the middle. I think this changes it. Great signing. Very, very excited. Good job, Raiders.
Great pick, man.
Great. All right, linebacker Andrew Van Ginkel is going to Minnesota, 2 years, $20 million. I think this actually is signing us the end of Danielle Hunter. Yeah. And so we're kind of waiting to see where he lands. And
Danielle Hunter had like almost 17 sacks and he was only making 10 million. So he going to make a lot more than that when he gets signed.
Yeah. Whoever signs him, that's, obviously that's the big fish that we're still kind of waiting on last I checked. Yeah. John Runyon to the Giants as a guard, 3 years, $30 million. Good for you. Good luck trying to protect, that garbage team.
Before you say this next one here, I love Howie Roseman because he can make moves happen, but sometimes he rolls the dice and I'm like, man, I just have to trust you because I am not trusting this one.
Great signing.
I am not trusting it only because he was a flash in the pan last year and I hope he can repeat it. And if he does it, boy, we rolled the dice heavily on this one.
Yeah, so Bryce Huff, defensive end, edge rusher to Philly, 3 years, $51 million. Honestly, he's one of the guys that's like, he didn't get a lot of playing time. Where was he? Miami, I think, before?
No, he was in the Jets.
He was at the Jets. That's right. Wrong AFC East.
So he is basically going to be the replacement for possibly Hassan Reddick, possibly Josh Sweat, and also maybe Nolan Smith, who was injured as our first round pick. As one of our draft picks last year. So he may be the guy to replace all that. So I think I'm okay with this pick. But again, it was a flash in the pan last year. I hope he can do it again because it's going to be a great pick if it works out.
Right. Okay. So safety Brandon Jones is going to Denver, 3 years, $20 million. That's, good for him. Greg Zuerlein staying with the Jets, 2 years, $8.4 million. Greg the Leg, he's, enjoy playing with Aaron Rodgers, buddy. I'm sure that offense is going to be a lot better than it was this past year without
so long he can last 7 minutes.
Right. Yeah. Devin Singletary is going to replace Saquon in New York, 3 years, $16.5 million. He reunites with his former head coach. It was his offensive coordinator in Buffalo, Brian Daboll. He's now the head coach of the Giants. So at least he knows how to use them. I don't love that signing. The Niners lose Charlie. Oh, what?
I was going to say happy trails.
Yeah, happy trails. The Niners lose Charlie Warner. He was the backup tight end. He's gone to Atlanta, 3 years, $12 million.
Very important tight end.
Very
important. Your blocking tight end.
Yep.
When you guys went twin tight end, he set the edges with Kittle. So
he's very talented, and he's gonna basically inherit the same role because you have Kyle Pitts there. In Atlanta. So
I love this.
He's gonna get paid a little bit more money.
Uncle Rico, the stash.
All right, Gardner Minshew's going to Vegas, 2 years, $25 million deal. He'll fight it out with Aiden O'Connell for the starting job, I imagine.
I don't hate it, don't love it. I'm okay with it. I think this shows that the Raiders are going to try to move up in the NFL draft and try to get a young quarterback.
Yeah.
We'll see.
All right, wide receiver Devin Duvernay leaves Baltimore, goes to Jacksonville, 2 years, $8.5 million. I think the Calvin Ridley experiment is done in Jacksonville. He was
They
way too
gambled
inconsistent.
and they lost. Oh,
I see what you did there. All right. The Gus bus. Gus Edwards is going to the Chargers. 2 years, 2-year contract. I didn't get a dollar amount when I
XX.
looked.
He's one away from being never mind. Anyways, keep going.
Moving on.
Whatever. The
joke.
Chargers are so whatever, dude.
All right. Niners are signing defensive end Leonard Floyd, 2 years, $20 million. I love this move.
I like
not
this
a
too.
bad. I
like
mean, that's
this.
a great deal for the 49ers.
Yeah, and it's a player that's performed better than Chase Young did.
Yeah,
and,
I mean, he's an edge rusher.
Yeah,
he almost had 17 sacks.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you got Chase Young on one end, you got Trump's best friend on the other end.
Yeah.
He could come off the edge there and he could rack up some sacks with this 49ers defense.
It's going to be, this will help a lot. You know, get a little bit more pressure on the quarterback. That's the name of the game on defense. So I love that move. Tight end Will Dissly is going to the Chargers. 3 years, $14 million. Yeah, cool. Montana rides. Austin Eckler is going to Washington on a 2-year, $11 million deal. Yeah, I mean, he kind of fell off at the end of last year. We'll see if he can find it in Washington. I have my doubts because that team itself is kind of garbage. So
Washington is a poverty team, and they're going to stay poverty for this foreseeable future.
That's that kind of shows me
the guarantees they're taking a young quarterback.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Another kicker, Will Lutz, is staying in Denver, 2-year deal. Good for you, bud. Keep kicking in that thin air.
I'll be honest with you. If I was a kicker, I'd stay in Denver too. You know how many kicks you could probably get with just barely putting effort into it.
Mm-hmm. All right. Noah Fant is staying in Seattle, 2-year, $21 million deal. They lost all their other tight ends, so that left Noah Fant, and he's going to take advantage of that. Jacoby Brissett. The Brisket is going back to New England. There was no contract details at the time. And another defensive end for the Niners, Yuter Matos, 2 years, $18 million deal. I haven't had a chance to dive into that one particularly.
It came in while we were doing the show. So
yeah, exactly. So that happened while we were doing it. Let me just hit a quick refresh. We're at the end of the, the end of the episode here. Texans are bringing back Noah Brown. And it looks like the Packers asked Aaron Jones to take a significant pay cut. But that obviously didn't happen, so they cut him, and now the Vikings are interested. So we'll see. That might get done between now and the end. So that's it for your free agent frenzy.
Oh, also too, Brian Burns got traded to the Giants here. So cool.
It's a great linebacker, man.
I do too. I love it. Yeah. And I'm but you know, hey, I think they could have traded him a couple years ago and got some second round pick, but they got a 6 out of it. So it is what
I'm hoping the Raiders bring in Patrick Queen, linebacker from the Ravens. He's 25. He can get after it. He's expendable because they paid Roquan Smith. That's a linebacker who I think is going to explode on the next team. So,
yep, I agree. Okay.